I have what is believed to be found footage from the Aaron Everwood's videotape. If you're not terribly familiar with the story, there was a videotape in 2001 that was dropped off at a police station in South Florida. But what's on it is really what's disturbing here. Just this chilling collection of strange footage that's kind of scrappily compiled together. Like analog images of different spots from around this town, from different parts outside of the state. It was haunting because truly nobody knew who was behind this. But why did police fixate on this tape, and why is it called the Aaron Everwood tape? It's because of this image. This is one frame in that video. This is a shot of Aaron Everwood, who was a 19-year-old girl who went missing just about 2 months prior to the tape being found. Police have really scrutinized on this image because she's smiling, but it doesn't look natural. It looks like it's a forced smile, right? Zoom in, it's almost like she's crying, like her face is wet. To this day, no one knows who's behind the tape.
So I've been cleaning my house like crazy. I do want to add that my dad didn't intentionally bring this into my home. This is just something that happens to be attached to him. And when it came here, it decided it was going to hang out and see what this house had to offer. Things like that, for the most part, will typically leave your home within a couple days, and they do go back to the person that initially brought them in. Me personally, I don't feel comfortable having this thing in my house, so it needs to go. I did end up having to call in the big guns, aka my mom, and she gave me a list of things to do because the things that I normally do are not enough to get this thing out of my house. This is not brujeria, so don't come at me. This is just things that my family has always done in order to cleanse their home because we don't like having unwelcome visitors. If you think it is, then you yourself don't do it, and then you can just keep scrolling. It's fine, you're not hurting my feelings. But let's get started. I actually stopped at her house and picked up the goods. You're going to take 7 lemons and cut them into crosses, like so, and throw them in a bowl. Then take one of these blue tablets. You can actually find these on Amazon. That's the name right there. You kind of throw it in there. Once you throw water in there, it's gonna dissolve. Then take some cascarilla or ground up eggshell. This is what I'm always telling you guys about. It is super important. You get these on Amazon as well. You just kind of put it in there. See how the powder just kind of falls off. And get some agua de florida and also pour some in there. I don't have much left, so I'm gonna try to do what I can with this. Then take some sea salt. I prefer the pink one. I mean, you can get whichever you like. Pour that in there. Oh, this is looking so yummy. Then you add a shot of alcohol, any type of alcohol that you have. Then throw it into your bucket of mop water. Whatever cleaning solution you use to mop your floors is fine. Even though that looks blue, that's not going to stain your floors. Once you have it all mixed together, start mopping from the inside of your house towards the front of your house. Also, make sure you have windows that are open. Prayer is extremely important, so make sure that you're praying as you're doing this and you're demanding this thing to leave your home. These little tablets are called alcanfor. I can't even pronounce it right. You can get these on Amazon. Put these under your bed. It's gonna repel all type of negativity and things you don't want around. You can also make a spray bottle of that solution and just spray it in areas that you necessarily can't mop. But yeah, that's what I'm gonna be doing right now. Wish me luck, and I'll keep you guys updated.
Okay, this video is going viral and it's absolutely terrifying. This boy has an imaginary friend known as the Hanging Man, and he sees him constantly. Check it out.
What are you doing? Oh, really?
Yeah.
Right.
He's crying, and I keep saying stop it.
Is he crying?
Yeah.
So this is the photo of the hanging man he's seen in the corner of his room. I'm going to ask him to draw it again when I've rubbed it completely off. Elliot, can you draw the hanging man for me like you did before?
No, can you tell me off at night?
What if I don't let him? What if you can sleep in my room? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Right, so what's these on his face?
Tears.
What's this?
Don't watch this video if you scare easily, because this is Earth's Scariest Places Part 59.
This is Ypres, Belgium, one of the most haunted places in Europe.
But why is it so haunted? This place is the location of 3 of the deadliest battles of World War I. This place has suffered through bombardments, trench warfare, and the use of chemical weapons such as chlorine gas. An estimated 600,000 soldiers on both sides have died here, and the souls of those fallen soldiers remain. There have been reports of apparitions of dead soldiers, boots marching, screaming, gunshots, and explosion sounds. There are so many cemeteries around this place that are extremely haunted as well. However, Menin Gate is the most infamous. So many ghosts have been seen at this gate. Today, the gate is still up and you can go see the place for yourself.
What do you think? Is this The Walking Dead? A woman wrote, "I'm a psychiatric nurse and early in my career, I worked at a residential mental health facility. One of our residents was an elective mute, which means that he couldn't talk, but there was no medical reasons as to why. He had spoken earlier in his life and in fact seemed quite normal back then, with the exception of being close to 7 feet tall. He'd been raised in the Deep South and joined the military when he was 19, but one night he vanished. Eventually he was declared missing and dead. 10 years later, a 7-foot-tall man walked into a VA hospital emergency room in my part of the Midwest and said to the receptionist, 'My name is Marion Duchesne, and I've been dead for 10 years.' Those were the last words he ever spoke. He was covered in dust and he was wearing the same clothes he'd been reported to be wearing the night he vanished. The man had no identification, however, they were able to identify him, I guess via fingerprints. The family was notified, but they said they had already grieved the lost man and that whoever was claiming to be him simply could not be. They demanded to not be contacted again. Marion paced all day every day, moving his mouth that looked like talking or muttering, but no sound came out. He also had an unnerving habit of throwing his head back with his mouth wide open as if he were laughing heartily, but not even a breath could be heard. Various medications were tried, but they never affected him either positively or negatively. And on my last day at the job, the last thing I saw was Marion pacing in the parking lot, throwing his head back to laugh. Later, I wondered if all along I'd been dealing with a ghost." She said all these years later, she still doesn't know. Isn't that so spooky? Was he a ghost?
These are pictures that'll make you feel uneasy, part 1. Up first is a picture of President John F. Kennedy's back seat after he was shot. This is just completely unsettling, especially when you know what happened. Next up, this is a patient with claustrophobia panicking during a CT scan. Looking at this just gives me anxiety, and I can only imagine what this person was feeling. This just looks awful, and I wouldn't wish this upon my worst enemy. Next up is this picture, and first glance it looks like an apartment building. But it's not. It's actually a pig factory in China, where they slaughter countless pigs every single year. Next, this person came out to their car with all 4 tires slashed, and this note on their windshield saying, "You were so easy to find, Mark. You should drive more carefully." I'll tell you this much, if I came out to my car with all my tires slashed and this note on my windshield, I would move 5 states over or leave the country. Finally, this is a picture of an abandoned church in the Czech Republic. I'm getting nightmares just looking at this, and just imagine walking into an abandoned church and seeing all these ghostly figures just sitting there.
On March 22nd, 1994, 4 people sat in a circle inside of a dark hotel room in England. In the middle of them was this makeshift Ouija board. A Ouija board is something people use to try to communicate with the dead. The board basically is just a bunch of letters and numbers and also the words yes and no. And so in the middle of this Ouija board was a glass cup that was flipped upside down. And at some point, all 4 people reached out and put a finger on the top of this upturned glass. And then they all kind of sat there silently waiting for instruction. And at some point, their leader spoke up and said, "Okay, I need complete silence." And then he spoke to the room and said, "Are there any spirits with us right now?" And at first, nothing happened. And in fact, the group was about to take their fingers off and kind of just laugh this off and think how silly it was that they tried to talk to the dead. But as they were pulling their fingers off, the glass began to move. And so the group began looking at each other, wondering, who's moving this cup on purpose? But no one admitted to it, and the glass just kept moving, and it finally came to a stop on the word yes. This Ouija board session would not only become one of the most famous ever, but also it would have a profound impact on a real-world criminal case. This was a preview of the Mr. Ballin podcast. The story comes from episode number 134, which is titled Talking to the Dead. If you want to hear that story and the hundreds of others we have on this show, just click on the link in my bio.
Normal videos with dark backstories, part 1. I need y'all to watch this video from Family Feud and then let me explain.
What's the biggest mistake you made at your wedding? Honey, I love you, but said I do. Not my mistake. I love my wife.
That is Timothy Blythnick, and he's just been charged with killing his wife. He broke into his estranged wife's home and shot her multiple times. He is being charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of home evasion. That video from Family Feud did not age well.
This is one of the most compelling cases for time travel that I've ever seen.
Really? Okay.
Have you ever heard the man from Taured?
No.
So back in the 50s, this guy flew into an airport in Japan, and he was like a normal looking guy, middle-aged, white, dark hair, and he was going through the lines, and the passport checker was looking at it. He kind of like looked at it, looked up, and he was like, "Where are you from?" He said, "The Kingdom of Taured." The guy's like, I've never heard of that. But, I mean, there's like hundreds of countries. They asked him into this little back room, and they're like, "Can you point this out on a map?" He's like, "Of course." And he points, and it's right in between Spain and France, and there is a country there. It's called Andorra.
I don't know why I knew it was gonna be in that region.
He's like, "I've never heard of Andorra," and they're like, "Taured doesn't exist." And he's like, "The Kingdom of Taured has been around for over 1,000 years."
Oh, wow.
And when they're looking at this passport, it has stamps in it.
Yeah.
Like, it all looks legit. His money, he has currency from different countries, including Taured, that looks like real money.
Wow.
And his checkbook is from a bank that doesn't even exist.
That's crazy.
They're talking to him. They're like, "Where are you staying? We need to verify this." And so he tells them about how he was just on the phone with them this morning, and they call. They have no record of him ever calling.
3 creepy facts you may have never heard of. Part 5. Hubbard's syndrome is a condition that comprises of a series of delusions, including the belief that you are already dead. Disneyland's famous Pirates of the Caribbean ride used real skeletons. Prosthetics in the 1960s weren't as convincing as they are now to offer a more authentic experience. Disney engineers enlisted the help of the University of California, Los Angeles Anatomy Department for real skeletons. More than 150 corpses occupy Mount Everest. The most horrifying facts about Mount Everest is that the bodies of over 150 dead hikers remain on the mountain, buried under deep snow.
Was lost in highs, pushing you aside. I couldn't let you back in. But now I'm ready to fix all those careless slips, wishing we could start rebuilding. Don't wanna let you go. Don't wanna be alone. 'Cause baby, you know I miss us. I'm ready to work for our love. Don't wanna let you.
Bear in mind just one thing. For me, you are still the only dream.